I stopped at a red light on a steep hill, heading downtown. That's when a damn trucker pulling a 28-foot trailer slammed into me. Brakes gone. He shoved my car so hard the back seat crushed the front, then dragged me right through the intersection. Paramedics had to pull me out by the jaw with a board under my back. I got strapped down, rushed to the hospital, x-rays, MRI. Then they called a specialist. That's when I knew it was bad. A nurse said my wife was on her way. She came in after signing some forms, face pale and scared. I looked at her and said, "No matter what, I'll heal. I'll walk again." The doc came in and broke it down. Neck was busted bad. C3, C4, C5 shattered at an angle. They gave me a halo, but told us straight I might never walk again. Probably paralyzed neck down. Once I was stable, they moved me to a nursing home close to home. That broke both of us. We'd been married 4 years. She believed what the doctor said. I didn't. I couldn't. I had to believe I'd walk again or I'd lose it. Docs, shrinks, my wife, everyone tried to get me to accept it. Hell no. I knew I had to play the long game. They thought I was in denial. I thought they gave up too easy. The more they pushed, the more I pushed back. They'd talk about how to adapt and live my new life. I stopped listening. 2 things saved my sanity: talk radio and Mr. Stevens, my old roommate. Cancer had him beat, but he still had stories. The nurses hated him and hated my radio. I loved both. Every day they'd test my feet. Nothing at first. But then I felt something. Toes moved, muscles twitched. I told no one, just Stevens. We knew they'd dismiss it if I said anything too early. At first, my wife came every night after work, stayed till 9, then it was less. I saw it in her eyes. She wasn't planning to stick around. I finally told her, "You don't need to come out of pity anymore." She looked hurt, but she didn't argue. I think she was waiting till I got out of the spotlight to leave, too scared to admit she didn't want to be with a cripple. Funny thing, my childhood best friend showed up all the time, always kept me laughing, played in a band, but always made time for me. After a while, I noticed something. He was hiding something, acting weird. Then I realized he was acting just like her. And my gut told me something was going on between them. Friends, family, they'd come visit, talk around things. I felt like there was a whole world outside that no one wanted to let me see. I talked a lot with Stevens about it. We played out every scenario. Something was off. One day, after not seeing her for over a month, my wife strolls in and says, "I'm going to Cuba for 2 weeks with my sister Susan." Susan lived 2 hours away. Married. I just said, "Okay." I didn't ask questions. What for? She'd been gone a long time already, just not physically. And still, the doctors kept giving me the same line. "It'll take time. We'll see." Never straight answers. Just more delay. No one wanted to say what they really thought. Maybe they were waiting for me to give up too. I wouldn't have thought much of it, but while Linda was in Cuba, her sister Susan stopped by, said she was visiting their mom. She had no clue what was going on. If she did, she wouldn't have come. See, it used to be the 3 of us, me, Linda, and my best friend Simon. Always close. Then Simon's dad came to visit and casually dropped the bomb. Simon had gone to Cuba too. That's when it clicked. They were together, my wife and my best friend, hiding it from me like I was blind and stupid. Linda was a knockout, blonde, slim, good voice, the kind who turned heads. Simon always wanted her to sing in his band. I didn't let that happen. I had other plans, finishing college, building a future. Then the crash happened, and he made his move. I was never big. 5'10", 150 pounds. Thin but strong. Carried heavy boxes up 14 floors without blinking. People always underestimated me. When they took off to Cuba, like a damn pre-honeymoon, I started planning. I knew I'd need time. I'd need to play it smart. A week after she got back, Simon came to visit. He was tanned like hell. Sat on the floor so I could see him. Handed me a box of Cuban cigars and matches. "You can start smoking these once you're out of that bed," he said. I didn't ask who he went with. I already knew. He didn't ask about Linda either, because he was with her. Before leaving, I asked him to loosen the belt on my side so I could scratch. He did. Crawled under me and forgot to tell the nurses. I prayed they wouldn't notice when they turned the bed up. After he left, my roommate said, "Nice of him to bring cigars." "Yeah," I said, "we grew up together. Been friends forever." "Not for long," he said. "Once you're on your feet, he's done." I nodded. Linda's been with him at least 6 months. How'd you find out? They both went to Cuba at the same time. That gave it away. That night after shift change, they tilted my bed back up. I started slow. My right arm gave out but came back. I undid the right strap, then the left. Bit by bit, I sat up. My arms shook but held. My roommate was silent, fist raised. He looked proud. He rolled over with his wheelchair, dropped my side rail. I swung my legs down. We opened a drawer and I grabbed jeans and a denim shirt. Took all my strength just to dress, still in sandals. All I could think about was smoking a damn cigar. I slipped 2 cigars and some matches in my shirt. Asked my roommate if I could use his walker. He didn't say a word, just smiled and rolled it over. Elevator's right, nurse's station's left, he said. I'll distract him, just leave me a few matches and 1 cigar, okay? I grinned. Take 3 or 4, I'm heading out the door. I left 8 wooden matches on the dresser and shoved my wallet in my back pocket. Waited 5 minutes, then climbed down slow. My legs were stiff, balance off, but the walker helped. I made it to the elevator. A few minutes later, I stood outside the building. Bare feet leaning on the walker, puffing a Cuban cigar. First one in a year. Damn, it tasted good. Back in the room, the nurses panicked. I don't think they could wrap their heads around it, how a bedridden guy got out, but I didn't care. The air felt good, the cigar was smooth, and I was standing. That was all that mattered. I knew I'd walk again. This just proved it. Later, flashing lights rolled up. A cop stepped out, shaking his head while I stayed leaned against the wall, shirt open, cigar lit. You scared the hell out of the staff, he said. Guess you're not as sick as they thought, but I gotta take you back. I said, sure, after I smoked both cigars. He saw how solid I looked and backed off. And then the local specialist showed up, and my family doc too. All 3 tried to get me back inside. I told them flat out, nope, I've been listening to their nonsense for too long. Someone even said maybe my wife could convince me. That made me laugh. Then I said to the cop, call dispatch. Ask Peter McLaughlin where his son Simon's playing tonight. He blinked. Why? Because Simon's been sleeping with my wife for months. If he's playing, she's probably with him. All 3 of them went pale. Guess they finally got it. My wife wasn't coming. She wasn't the solution. And I wasn't some helpless case anymore. I turned to my doctor. Medill, call my dad. Tell him I want to go home. He sighed. Damn it, Donald. Fine, I'll call. Maybe he'll knock some sense into your thick skull. I grabbed the walker and started heading toward the sidewalk. My dad only lived 8 blocks away. A cop moved to block me. Medill stepped in. Donald, stop, I get it. You're strong, but don't burn yourself out. We're still shocked you can even stand. Then he called my dad and told him to come quick. Said it was serious. Peter, don't say a word, Medill told him. He's stubborn as hell and just smart enough to push through out of spite. We should be asking how the hell he got up at all. Turns out Simon wasn't gigging that night, because just before Dad showed up, Linda pulled in, driving our second car. She saw me standing. Her face said it all. Pure shock. But my dad, he looked proud, like he was seeing something he never thought he'd see again. I turned to him and said, like Grandpa always said, hard times don't last. Might need your help getting in the truck, but don't say a damn word. Dad smiled while I puffed on the cigar. I could tell he was still wrapping his head around what he was seeing. He walked over and said, take your time, son. I'll call your mom, get the first floor room ready. She'll help with whatever you need. You sure you want to leave? I looked at him. He already knew. He turned to the others. That look? He's not asking. He's leaving. If he falls, he'll get up and try again. That's just who he is. Linda came up wide-eyed, quiet. I stared at her like a stranger. The cop stepped in. Ma'am, he said, your husband knows about you and Simon McLaughlin. He's the one who told us to contact Simon's dad. You should probably go. Linda looked at me. I spoke without blinking. Dad, look who crawled out of the grave. So tell me, besides music, what's Simon been doing? She lived in your house, drove your car, used my name to get loans, until I sent the lawyers after her. Dad said, she let him use your name. I started moving toward the truck with my walker. Before I got in, I looked at Linda. Tell Simon what you saw, and thank him for what's coming when I'm fully back. She went pale. She knew what I meant. Simon had touched what was mine, and I'd be coming for it. Tell him, I said. His music days are over. He used his hands to take something from me. I'll be using mine to take it back. The cop should have cuffed her right there. Dad helped me into the truck. Once I was in, I rolled the window down. "Medill, give the walker back to Mr. Stevens," I said. "Let him know I'll visit soon." Medill nodded. At the house, Dad parked and helped me out. He held on tight, ready to catch me if I dropped. Mom opened the door, saw me, and gasped, hand over her mouth, tears in her eyes. They'd built a ramp, just in case. I held the rail, legs screaming, and made it inside. I'd burned too much energy, and I knew it. But I was in. That was enough. As I collapsed into a kitchen chair, someone knocked. Dad opened the door. It was Medill. He checked me over, scolded me good, but smiled the whole time. He handed Dad the truck keys. "There's 2 canes in the back. Get them. I'll remove the chin rest in front of the halo. He's earned it. But the rest stays till after new x-rays." I took the canes and stood. Needed adjusting, but better than that damn frame. I asked Dad for a razor. He handed it off, and I cleaned up in the downstairs bathroom. When I came out, I looked like me again. Just needed a haircut. Mom asked, "Want anything?" "Yeah, one of your cigs, 2 cheese sandwiches, and a beer." She started making 4. I still needed x-rays and had to grab my stuff from the nursing home. After that, I'd be sent to rehab for a couple weeks. Mom said, "I'm proud of you, Donald." Medill added, "You didn't listen to us, and it worked. But keep seeing the specialist. Don't screw with the insurance money." Dad walked him out while I ate. Real food never tasted so good. Mom tried not to cry. When Dad came back, he poured us some good scotch. We sat and talked. "In the hospital," I said, "Simon got Linda singing with his band. She liked it. Band got more gigs. That's around the time she stopped showing up. Then he moved into my house, 6 months after the crash. They built the ramp to look good, pretending they'd take care of me. Truth is, they were just planning their life." I looked at them both. "Dad, I need my laptop, books, all my stuff. I'll call the school, figure out how to get back. Gotta check the bank too, see if my name's still on anything." "Enough," Mom said. "Now you tell us everything that went down today." I told Mom about the cigars and everything after. She laughed. "You're just like your grandpa. He's gonna say, 'Give that man a trophy.'" "Your dad's taking the day off to grab your stuff from the house," she added. "But first, I'm getting you some clothes from Walmart." Dad walked her out, then poured another drink. "That cop heard what you said to Linda," he said. "You'll be watched. Linda and Simon are scared now. Fear eats at people. Soon they'll start blaming each other. And right when they think they're okay again, boom, divorce papers." I grinned. "I'll make it messy. The car's still in my name. I'll have it impounded when they're mid-trip. Leave them stuck." Dad chuckled. "So playing the long game. What about Simon's hands? He'll mess them up himself." "With a little help," I said. "He's just a dumb kid in a grown-up body, always chasing the next shiny thing, especially if it wears lipstick. I've got a few friends. Their wives will help introduce Simon to real trouble." "You sure about this?" I looked him in the eye. "I came this far, didn't I? If something changes, I'll adjust. But yeah, it's not if, it's when." Next morning, getting out of bed sucked. I rolled onto the floor, crawled, then stood, slow but steady. The more I moved, the more came back. At 10 a.m., I went for x-rays. Dad packed up the rest of my stuff while I was at the hospital. Good thing Mom had bought me slip-ons. I couldn't bend to tie laces. I made it to the table with my cane. We got to x-ray right on time. After the scans, the doc called the specialist. Once he saw them, they took the halo off. I could move better right away. Then Mom met me at Medill's office. Rehab would start in 2 weeks. We went to the bank to check my account, empty. I was supposed to get $2,000 a month from insurance. Gone. I called my lawyer. Gave me a routing number. Turns out the money had been moved to Simon's account, every last dollar. They found a forged form with my signature. Dated while I was in the hospital. Slam dunk. By the time I left, I had a new account, a new card, and my money back. First thing I did? Pulled out $200 and got a haircut. The bank called the cops to start the fraud case. I still tired fast, but the strength was coming back. Mom drove me home. Dad got all my things, clothes, books, my computer, TV went in the family room, computer in my room. I called the school, explained everything. They let me restart the year, no charge. Later, I was out on the back patio when the rest of the family showed up. 2 older sisters and my little brother. They said they just had to see it to believe it. They felt bad for not visiting more. I forgave them, but things felt different. At least now I saw where we all stood. We talked for an hour, then Mom stepped in, said I needed rest. One day, I asked her to take me to the nursing home. I wanted to see Stevens. Told her I'd call when I was done. When I walked in, he was in his chair. "Oh man," I said, "how about a smoke?" A nurse walked in as I was rolling him out. I had tied my canes together and slung them over my shoulder. "Where are you taking Mr. Stevens?" she asked. "Out for air, cigars, and a talk," I said. "Don't worry, I'll bring him back." "He said you'd be back," she said. We didn't believe him. "The stronger I get, the more I'll be here," I said. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be walking. We sat outside and smoked 2 cigars. When he got tired, I took him back in. We talked for an hour, then he fell asleep. It took a week before I felt halfway normal. Every day, I used the cane less. I hired a lawyer, a sharp, pissed-off woman who hated what Linda and Simon pulled. She wasn't going to let them get away with it. Friday hit like a truck. That morning, my wife got served divorce papers. A cop showed up at my door not long after. Detective, serious type. I told him everything I knew about Simon McLaughlin, that slick fool. Turns out my dad had handed over some legal documents we had on him. Real dirt. Apparently, Simon's looking at some serious time. Identity theft, bank fraud, extortion. They're talking 5 to 7 years if it sticks. Later that night, I stopped by to check on Mr. Stevens. He was doing better, or so I thought. We talked for a bit, then he passed away while I sat next to him. Cancer finally got him, but damn, the man held on with everything he had. I sometimes think he stayed alive just long enough to see me get back on my feet. First day of rehab. I was early, walked in, and guess who my physical therapist was? Simon's little sister, Colleen. Small world, huh? And honestly, if she wasn't related to that snake, I'd probably have hit on her. I almost walked right out, but we both stayed quiet about Simon. Colleen didn't take crap from anyone. Tough, direct, didn't sugarcoat a thing. That first session, we circled each other like boxers, both figuring the other out. She tested me hard. Range, strength, balance. Most of the day was just stretching, but even she had to admit I was doing better than she expected. Hell, I surprised myself. 3 weeks in, I was moving better than I had in months. Then she pushed me. "Try something harder," she said. "Why though?" I asked, kind of smirking. But I saw what she meant, so I went for it. By the time we wrapped up, I was wiped. She looked at me. "So? What do you think?" "I think you're ready to mess with gravity," I shot back. "Strength's never been my problem. Sitting still too long was." She crossed her arms. "You sure you can prove that without wrecking yourself?" I grinned, turned to her, grabbed her gently by the hips, and lifted her clean off the ground. She laughed, then leaned in and kissed me. I kissed her right back. Colleen looked like her mom. Classic features, curves, bright blue eyes, and a smile that could melt steel. She had this soft, strong presence. You could feel it. 5'7" perfect height to match my 5'10". "You made your point, Donald Earl Jameson," she said, still laughing. "Now put me down." I set her down gently. "Funny, everyone thought I was done after the accident," I said. She nodded. "Dad told us not to count you out. Said you had more in you than people realized. Too bad your brother didn't think the same." Her smile faded. "Now that we know the full truth, it's like the whole family's waking up. Simon fooled all of us, and we had to ask ourselves, if he'd screw over his best friend, what would he do to us?" "That's the thing," I said. "He and Linda know what's coming. They just don't know when. She got hit with divorce papers last week. Infidelity. And him? Once they finish the investigation into what I found after the hospital, he's looking at 7 to 10. Colleen sat beside me. "You know, I used to watch you and Simon play soccer. You were always the guy who passed instead of showing off. I remember thinking how rare that was. Guess I've compared every guy since then to you. So when's our first date? If you were fully back on your feet, I'd say tonight. Come on." "You didn't even push me that hard, and I'm still beat." She gave me a look, like she saw something in me she hadn't before. "How'd you stay so positive this whole time?" I took a breath. I believed. That's it. I knew if I didn't believe in me, no one else would. The people I loved, they stopped believing. That's why everything fell apart. She squeezed my hand and walked me to a bench. "My mom's grandfather was like that," she said. "Proud guy, kept to himself after some family fallout. Even raised kids with his wife, but he never really let them in again. That closeness, gone forever." "Yeah," I nodded. "Sometimes we shut people out to protect ourselves, but really, we're just hiding. He probably thought their lies were about avoiding the truth. But in the end, he couldn't trust them anymore." She went quiet for a moment. What else did Simon do? Anything we don't know? I nodded. He forged my signature, took a money order meant for my medical care, stolen straight from the insurance company, moved it to a different bank, in his name. Colleen went pale. Then the tears started. I pulled her in, wrapped my arms around her, and just let her cry. Look, I told her quietly, the bank gave me my money back once we proved everything. I couldn't sign anything. I was stuck in bed. When the detective showed up, my dad gave him the whole file. All the paperwork to show Simon had faked having power of attorney, even the one he sent the bank, totally forged, dated way after I was already bedridden. We sat and talked a bit longer while I waited for my ride. I told her I'd be gone Wednesday. I had a funeral to go to. Later that night at dinner, my mom noticed something was different. Happier. I told her the whole story over meatloaf and mashed potatoes. After that, I hit my college classes hard. I was ready to build something new. Tuesday, during lunch break, I grabbed a coffee from the vending machine and lit a smoke out by the picnic tables. Colleen showed up with 2 paper bags. Lunch she packed for me. While we ate, I told her about Mr. Stevens, how we'd leaned on each other through tough times. She listened closely. The funeral hit hard. No one showed up but me and my mom, just us. The guy from the Salvation Army did a short, respectful service. Stevens wanted to be cremated, and it was done. Afterward, I asked the director what would happen with the ashes. He said they were already with Stevens' lawyer, said everything was handled by the book, per the will. As we loaded the car with flowers from the service, this guy walked up. Lawyer, said he handled Stevens' affairs, asked if we could follow him to his office. Turns out Mr. Stevens lost his family years ago, never remarried, and somewhere along the way, he changed his will, left everything to me. All he asked, the lawyer said, is that you take his ashes to the highest point in the county and scatter them there. He broke down the details of what I was inheriting. My mom and I were stunned. It wasn't just sentimental stuff. There was real value. On the drive home, I told her we weren't saying a word to anyone until my divorce was finalized. We both knew this was going to change everything. Back at rehab, Colleen worked me like a drill sergeant for the next 2 weeks. Every single thing I could and couldn't do, she wrote down. I asked, why all the notes? She said, because your injury might have long-term effects, and people need to know just how far you've come. We hadn't officially started dating, but everyone could see it happening. The teasing never stopped, mostly about how I was the only one who got lunch delivered every day. The day rehab ended, Colleen drove me straight to Stevens' lawyer's office. When he called me in, I asked her to come too. I looked at the attorney and said, "You cool with staying on as my lawyer?" He nodded. I asked him to help me build a team, legal, financial, the works. He handed me an urn with Stevens' ashes. "You know where you're taking him?" he asked. "Yeah. There's a mountain right above where his old place used to sit. It looks out over the Mississippi. I'll scatter him there even if I gotta buy a new 4x4 to get up there." He smiled, then handed me a set of keys. "It's a gorgeous place. 125 acres, waterfalls, the whole nine. You'll definitely need that 4x4. One more thing. You should move the property out of the Canadian corporate trust it's stuck in. Build a board, get people you trust to help. Up till now, it was all just maintenance, not growth." Then he handed me an envelope. I opened it, a check, over $3 million. "All the cash from his accounts and bonds," he said. "Taxes are paid. Everything's now in your name." We left the office, and Colleen drove me straight to the bank. It was open late. After I deposited the check, I turned to her and said, "Red Lobster okay for dinner?" Over dinner, we talked about the land, the house, what I might do with it. I told her I wouldn't know anything until I saw it for myself. "You free tomorrow after 10?" I asked. "Want to come with?" She smiled. "Sure. Why so late?" "I gotta buy a Jeep first," I said, "and get it insured. You let me borrow your car enough. It's time." So we hit the dealership. I asked for a cash deal on a silver Jeep Cherokee. The sales guy damn near passed out when I pulled out my debit card. On the way out, Colleen looked at me sideways. "You just dropped all your cash on that?" "Nah," I said. "Just a slice." "Why'd you ask for a commercial inspection? It's brand new." "Everything built on a line with parts from 10 different countries is a gamble," I said. "My dad used to run a store. Always got everything checked before signing. Saved his bum more than once." She laughed and shook her head. When we got to my place, she walked me up from the curb, leaned in, and kissed me goodnight. As soon as I slid into the passenger seat, my mom hit me with the update. My other car had been impounded. It happened about an hour earlier in St. Louis, right when Linda and Simon were getting ready for their little game night. The court had ordered it, all thanks to the paperwork my attorney filed. Then she shifted gears and asked about Colleen. I didn't dodge. I told her exactly how I felt. Honest. No pretending. That's probably why I went to bed that night with a real smile on my face for the first time in ages. The next morning, Dad gave me a ride to pick up the new car at 9 a.m. It cleared the inspection with 0 issues. First stop after that, insurance and plates. Done and dusted. By 10 after 10, I pulled into Peter McLaughlin's driveway. I walked up to the door expecting to see Colleen, but Peter answered instead. "Come on in, Don," he said warmly. Colleen's still getting herself together. And listen, I appreciate you not holding any of what Simon did against us. He dug his own grave. He can lie in it. I gave a calm nod. He hasn't even seen the worst of it yet. Peter gave me a half smile. She told us you'd probably say that, and for what it's worth, we won't be lifting a finger to help him. Your family here, Don. Always have been. That said a lot more than he probably realized. Colleen's mom was already in the kitchen baking scones and getting tea ready like it was second nature. Saying no would have been rude, so I sat down and spent the next hour chatting with her folks, with Colleen sitting right next to me. As I was coming out of the bathroom down the hall, her younger sister stopped me with a quiet voice and a grin. "Mom and Dad think you and Colleen will be married within the year," she whispered. "And between you and me, she's been head over heels for you a long time, even if she pretends otherwise." That hit me harder than I expected. I started wondering, am I really falling for Colleen? Or am I just clinging to her as some kind of twisted payback for everything Simon put me through? But before I could say anything, she added, "Don't do that, Donnie. You've never been the type to punish the wrong people." "Simon?" "Yeah, we've all washed our hands of him. But Colleen, she's not him." I nodded slowly. "Thanks for saying that. I've been second-guessing everything lately." She smiled. "Not all of us have. You know she came back home when she found out she was assigned to you, right? She was scared of how you'd treat us. Then she spent the entire evening after your first session telling me about your kiss. That first one. If you're not really in this, let her go now. Don't drag her into something that'll only break you both." I looked at her and said quietly, "She'll know where I stand by tonight." We hit the road not long after, heading out toward the house I'd inherited. The drive was long, real long. When we finally rolled up to the gate of the property, I stepped out and opened it myself. We eased up the winding driveway, surrounded by trees and brush. Nature had clearly been doing its thing for a while, but then we saw it, and we both kind of froze. The house was beautiful. A massive log home with a matching outbuilding that looked just as impressive. Power and water were already running. It had been maintained under the corporate trust. The second I pushed open the front door, it felt like stepping into someone's dream. Colleen laced her fingers through mine and whispered, "This place is incredible." "He built it a year before his wife and kids died in that crash," I told her. "Never could bring himself to live here. He kept it clean, maintained, but couldn't face filling it with memories that had never happened." We walked through the main floor, then made our way upstairs. The master bedroom was massive, and the 3 others were bigger than most apartments. Yeah, it needed a few modern touches, but structurally it was perfect. Colleen looked a little uneasy. "When did you find out about all this?" "As soon as Linda gets sued, this place is safe from being called marital property. She'll try, but it won't stick. This house, it's mine. You want me to start making a shopping list?" she asked. "Stuff you'll need to make it livable?" "Yeah," I said. "Go for it." She opened her laptop and got to work while I headed outside to check out the other building. It looked like a garage at first glance, but had huge barn-style doors in the back. Inside, every piece of land equipment you could imagine. Clearly, Stevens had plans to keep the land in shape. I spent the next 30 minutes hooking the tractor to a giant brush cutter mounted on the side. Then I drove down one side of the long driveway, clearing what I could, and looped back up the other. The whole time, I couldn't stop thinking about my granddad. I spent half my childhood on his farm, and those memories just clicked into place like muscle memory. As I pulled back up to the house, Colleen came outside, waving her hands to get my attention. Found something? She called. Turns out she'd discovered a hidden safe in the master bedroom. It was tucked behind a false wall inside one of the walk-in closets, still locked. I dug through the set of old keys and found one that clicked. Inside, 3 thick gold bars, 3 pounds each, maybe more, and an envelope. Inside the envelope were 30 bearer bonds, each worth 50 grand. My jaw tightened. I knew what that meant, and so did she. I turned to her and said with a smirk, "Good thing we've been doing this whole rehab thing together since day 1. Otherwise, I might have started thinking you were after the cash." She didn't say anything. She just jumped into my arms and kissed me like the world had stopped. And let's just say, it took us a while before we came up for air. I kept working through the brush until the sun dipped below the trees and everything turned dark. Once we packed up our stuff and locked the front door, we headed out for dinner. "You got your hands full if you're serious about turning that place into a home," Colleen said. "Any idea where you're going to start?" "First move? We eat," I said with a grin. "Let your parents know we're stepping out," she added. "If there was a booth here, I'd be right beside you." She called her folks and asked if they'd started making dinner. When they said no, we offered to meet them at Yummy's, that all-you-can-eat Chinese spot. By the time we got there, they were already waiting at the table. After we sat down, we ordered hot tea and went to fill our plates. Mary, Colleen's mom, looked at us and said, "What's up with you two? You look like kids in love." Colleen smiled. "It's nothing big. We were talking, and Don said it's kind of lucky we started dating before he found out about the inheritance." Mary just nodded and said, "That's how it goes. Good things take time." As she caught up to us at the buffet, I was loading up on shrimp, sweet and sour pork, mussels, and some stir-fry. Colleen kept it simple with classic dishes. We were back at the table before her parents and her younger sister, Katie. Katie was the one who dropped the question, "Wait, you guys aren't breaking up?" I laughed. Been a thing since rehab started. Just finally said it out loud today. Her smile was instant, wide and proud. "What's with that grin?" Colleen asked her, raising an eyebrow. Katie shrugged. "Just remembering something you promised me a while back. Looks like it came true." Pete didn't say much, just got up, walked to the little bar near the entrance, and came back with 4 beers. He handed one to each of us without a word. We talked nonstop after that, passing plates and catching up until Peter and I came back with round 2. "When are you going to be cleared for work?" Peter asked. "Got any idea?" "I just wrapped up rehab," I said. "I've got appointments next week with my GP and a specialist. Until then, not much I can promise. But I've been hitting the books, studying for my final year in forensic accounting," Mary chimed in. "When you're ready, come talk to me. Our firm's always looking for sharp people with real-world experience. You'd be a strong fit." "I appreciate that," I said. "But I've got a few things to sort out first. Got to get the apartment set up. Colleen's helping with that." "You were house hunting today? With my sister?" Katie asked, eyes wide. "Not exactly house hunting," Colleen said. "Donald inherited a property. We went to check it out. It's gorgeous. I snapped a bunch of pics for reference. When we get to furnishing it, we're going to make it shine," Peter said. Colleen nodded. "Dad and I will handle that. Donald asked me to help with picking out furniture and all the essentials." "I'd rather have a woman's input," I said, "because women know how to make a place feel like home. Guys just throw a couch and TV in and call it good." Colleen gave me a look, then leaned in and kissed me, no hesitation, while her family browsed the photos. I told them a bit more. "The land came from a neighbor. The house has been sitting empty, so I'm getting it inspected ASAP. Once that's done, I'll start fixing it up so I can actually move in." "Did your parents get a look?" Mary asked. "Nope. Today was the first time anyone's seen it. Just me and Colleen," I said. "There's still a lot of work to do. Only the area around the house and garage is cleared. The rest is all overgrown." "There's a video," Colleen added. "Don's on the tractor cutting down brush. It'll give you a sense of what we're dealing with." After dinner, we hit the appliance stores, checked out everything, compared prices. In the end, Colleen and I decided to stick with the local supplier. Sure, it cost a bit more, but the warranty and service made it worth it. By the time I got back home, it was about 10. Early Sunday morning, my phone started buzzing. I'd missed 2 calls and had 3 texts from my ex-sister-in-law, Susan. I called her back. She'd brought Linda and Simon back from St. Louis since they didn't have a car. She said she wanted to talk before heading home. We agreed to meet for breakfast at Hickory's house in Jackson. She was waiting outside when I got there. As soon as I walked up, she greeted me, and we got seated. "You're looking good, Donald," Susan said. "Thanks for meeting." I already heard Linda's version. I want yours. "Look," I said. Linda mentally checked out of the marriage a long time ago. While I was stuck in bed, Simon was the one she leaned on. He didn't just slide into my spot emotionally. He started sliding into my bank account, too. Susan blinked. "She said you pushed her away, that you told her not to bother visiting. Said you basically abandoned her before she got close to Simon. She came to the nursing home every day the first month. By month 6, once a week. Simon followed the same pattern. By month 9, I was lucky if either of them showed up once a month." Susan's face went pale. I had no clue. Last time she stopped by, she couldn't even make eye contact. Stayed maybe 10 minutes. I told her not to visit if it was just out of pity. After I started walking again, I found out Simon moved into our house 6 months after my accident. "She told me you were being an idiot about the divorce," Susan said quietly. I can't believe how much she left out. "I hate to say it," I said, "but Simon forged my name on a form to snatch an insurance payout meant for my care. My dad had to take him to court just to block him from pulling a loan in my name. We proved the signature was fake. It had to be signed at a branch, and I was still stuck in a rehab facility the day it was signed." "Does Linda know about this?" she asked. "Doubt it. Simon probably got the info off my mail. The cops are on it. If he's convicted, he's looking at 7 years easy." Susan looked shaken. "Now I get why you sued. You weren't just abandoned emotionally, you were straight up betrayed. I gotta tell Mom. She has no idea." "Susan, when was the last time you came to visit me?" I asked. "I thought you were with Linda in Cuba. That's what she told me. But turns out, she went there with Simon." Her mouth fell open. "What the hell is she doing to herself?" "I wish I knew," I said. "She's not the same person anymore. Honestly, I'm starting to wonder if Simon's feeding her something. He's been known to sell on the side to keep himself supplied." We had dinner and talked about everyday stuff. Nothing heavy. As we said goodbye, I told Susan I'd take care of the ticket. "Donald," she said, "I'm going to talk to Mom. She needs to hear it from you directly. I'll have her give you a call." "Sounds good," I said. Once we parted ways, I gave the detective a call, the one who'd spoken with me before. I let him know that my car had been seized and gave him the location. Then I told him I was pretty sure Simon was still pushing product, probably between games to keep his habit going. He said if they found enough in the car, he'd get a search warrant that day. He also asked me to sign the car over to Linda through my lawyer, transferring ownership. I agreed to it. After that, Colleen and I grabbed a tape measure and drove back to the log house to check how much space we had for the appliances, fridge, stove, the works. We measured carefully so we wouldn't end up buying the wrong sizes. We also checked the laundry room to make sure we had enough space for a full washer and dryer, and I scoped out the pantry since I wanted to add a stand-up freezer. Then, we headed back to Jackson and made the rounds at the local appliance stores. We found what we needed and scheduled the delivery before we left. That Saturday, I called my parents and invited them to meet us at Red Lobster for an early dinner. I was driving when my phone rang. Colleen picked it up and put it on speaker. It was the detective. He confirmed what I'd suspected. Not only did they find pills in the trunk, but also the materials to cook more. I told him I'd call my attorney first thing Monday to finalize the car transfer. Colleen shook her head. "It's my brother. If Dad finds out, he'll lose it. He already lost his little brother to this stuff years ago." "We're not saying anything," I promised. The detective didn't get into details, what kind of pills, how much, or whether the equipment in the car actually belonged to Simon. That's why I wanted the appliances legally in Linda's name, to keep things clean if it all went to court. The detective would have to sort it out later. When we got to Red Lobster, my parents were surprised, but happy, to see Colleen with me. She pulled out her phone and showed them photos of the house. "Is that part of the company you inherited?" my mom asked. "Technically, yeah," I said. "But it's under a living trust now, in my name. It's structured to keep taxes low. The place needs a lot of work before I can move in." "First step is an inspection," then Colleen spoke up gently. "My brother's into a lot more trouble than you realize. If today's info checks out, my parents will cut ties with him for good." And just to pile it on, I added, I had breakfast with Linda's sister Susan this morning. Turns out nobody in their family knew what really happened. She wanted the truth. My mom looked between us. "And what about you two? What's going on there?" Colleen smiled. "So far, so good. But we're keeping things grounded until everything around Donald settles down. Meanwhile, my lawyer saw the whole situation with the car as a strategic opportunity. She got on the phone with Linda and made her an offer. I'd give up the car and my half of the house in exchange for her giving up any claim to the insurance money. Linda thought she'd hit the jackpot and signed the deal without blinking. After clearing the car's loan, Simon drove her to work like nothing happened. Later that afternoon, I met the building inspector at the property. When I got home, the detective had left a voicemail. Simon had just been arrested. They tailed him to an old warehouse that doubled as a suspected brothel. He and 8 others were busted for producing illegal substances. The whole building would likely be condemned. The inspector gave the house and garage a solid thumbs up. He recommended swapping out the old switches for commercial dimmers and upgrading the lighting to LEDs, which could cut the electric bill by $100 a month. Furnace and AC? Both in great shape. A couple of days later, I went to see Dr. Medill for a follow-up. He gave me the green light to move forward with my life. That night, just before closing, I stopped by to see Colleen at work. The second I walked in, she ran to me and threw herself into my arms, crying. She knew everything. Her dad had gotten a call from Linda, and the truth hit home. It had been a rough night at her parents' place. Tuesday morning, I showed up early at the Quicksilver Messenger Company. Everyone was glad to see me. They even offered me my old job back, but I turned it down. I picked up my last paycheck, then headed downstairs to say goodbye to the people I'd worked with. Richard was loading his van for the afternoon optical run. We stepped outside to chat. I need to know, your brother's still in charge of cell assignments? I asked. Yeah, still is, he said. I handed him an envelope. Inside, a bearer bond and a photo. There's a guy entering the system soon, I said. You'll find his name and picture inside. While I was flat on my back, he took my wife, wrecked my life, and started selling dope. Cops finally got him cooking product. I'd love to see him walk out of there with broken arms, something to stop him from ever playing the guitar or sweet-talking another woman again. Let's just say he's overdue for a little social adjustment. Richard cracked open the envelope, looked at the bond, and gave me a sly grin. My brother's got people, guys who don't mind getting their hands dirty. What you want? It'll get done. No cash needed. He's owed a favor. And as for knocking that swagger out of Simon, trust me, he'll be bunking with someone who'll ride him till he walks funny. Then he added, more serious this time. I'll give the money to his wife and kid. They're in a rough spot, and this'll help keep their heads above water. Plus, this way, nothing can trace back to my brother. Driving back toward Cape, I couldn't help but smile. I kept my promise. Simon wouldn't be playing guitar or charming anyone anytime soon. One last chapter left. Figuring out what to do about Linda. That would wait until the divorce was final. Back at my folks' place, I called the electrician and scheduled him to come by Thursday. When Colleen came home from work, I was already waiting. We spent the evening hitting up stores, picking out light fixtures for every room. The bathrooms and kitchen also needed the old piping from Florissant stripped and replaced. My specialist appointment went smoothly. He wanted to see me once more before clearing me for work. We booked it for next month. That Wednesday night, over takeout and floor plans, I told Colleen, divorce papers are final. It's done. We'd already been looking at furniture, but this shifted things. Colleen looked at me sideways. You sure your future wife won't want to help pick stuff out? We might want to stick to basics. Bedroom, kitchen, stuff you'll actually use. I smiled. Nah, we're doing the whole house. Curtains, couch, dining set, the works. I want it move-in ready. For her. She stared at me for a second. Wait, you already know who you're marrying? Does she know? I leaned in, teasing. Well, Miss knows everything. I can't propose until I'm legally single, but yeah, I know. That got to her. Her eyes welled up a little. Folks around us noticed, but neither of us cared. We dove into furniture shopping with new energy. She was fast with her choices, hopeful. We scheduled delivery and set up for Saturday. I dropped everything off just before midnight. Thursday, the electrician showed up. I walked him through the house, showing him what to rip out and replace. He busted his A and got everything done in one long day. Lights, outlets, the whole nine. Friday, I spent the whole day out clearing brush. That night, Colleen and I hit another furniture store to grab a few more pieces. Saturday was chaos, in a good way. I just started cleaning when all the deliveries rolled in. We tore through boxes, set up what we could, and Colleen took the lead on how the place should look. 3 full deliveries had her a little frazzled, but by 6 o'clock, the place actually looked like home. We ended up crashed on the couch in our half-finished living room, talking about how far we'd come. Eventually, we passed out there. Didn't wake until 7 a.m. But here's the thing about life. It doesn't always matter what's true. It's what people think is true that causes drama. And drama, we had it. Both families started giving us flack. Quiet at first, then louder. Nobody wanted to talk about what had happened, just about when we were going to make it official. Her mom summed it up when she said, "Just don't get pregnant before the wedding, okay?" We came from the kind of place where that stuff still mattered, small-town values, old-school pride, where people still acted like promises and morals meant something. Sounds dramatic, but it's not. In our world, reputation used to mean everything. Now, according to the media, lying, cheating, and talking trash is just another Tuesday. 2 weeks passed, and the judgment didn't let up. One night, I'd had enough. "Screw it," I told Colleen. "Let's give him something to talk about." "What do you have in mind?" she asked. "Friday night, we're buying a truck. By the end of the weekend, we'll have towels, sheets, and everything else. If we're going to get judged for living in sin, we might as well enjoy it." She raised an eyebrow. "You're serious?" "Dead serious. But before we do that, I want to get you an engagement ring. Romantic dinner comes after." And that's exactly what we did. We picked out the ring she loved, slid it on her finger, then we bought a truck with a locking box in the back. Picked it up on Saturday. We met at Walmart. I filled 2 carts with dishes, glassware, kitchen towels, basically everything. Paid, packed it, then went back for 2 more carts filled with bathroom and bedroom stuff. I must have checked out 4 separate times. After that, we hit Country Mart to stock up on meat and groceries that Walmart didn't carry. Once we got home and unloaded everything, Colleen called her sister, Kathy, to check if her parents were around. They weren't. So we each jumped into our own cars and drove out to gather the last of our personal things. I got back before she did. The next day at lunch, we both laughed watching the security camera. 2 cars pulled up to the gate. Colleen leaned toward the monitor and said with a smirk, "Let's pretend we're not home." After the way they acted? Yeah, they can sit out there and stew. The day both our families saw the house together for the first time was unforgettable. 2 things stopped them in their tracks: the sheer size of the place and how beautifully it was furnished. But more than that, they showed up ready to apologize for how they'd treated us. "Kathy told me I could move in with you," Colleen said later. That's when it felt like we could finally breathe. That evening, I let everyone know I'd be in front of Judge Donald McDonald the following Thursday to finalize the divorce. Colleen's parents looked especially sheepish, like they'd just realized how far off the mark they'd been. And when she showed them her engagement ring, let's just say they looked like they'd swallowed their pride with a big glass of water. In court, Linda looked worn down, tired, like the mess she'd made had finally caught up with her. The judge asked us both if we agreed to the divorce terms. We did. It was quick and civil. Outside the courthouse, she jogged up behind me just as I was about to climb into my truck. "Hey, wait up. Can we talk for a second?" she said, breathless like she earned some moment. I turned, slow. "Talk? What the hell for, Linda? You run out of lies?" She flinched, but kept her fake calm. "Simon's taking a plea. Manufacturing, fraud, the pills. They're giving him 10, maybe out in 7. I let out a short laugh. "Congratulations, your boyfriend's got a retirement plan now." "That's supposed to make me feel better?" Her lips pressed into a tight line. I didn't know what he was doing. "Nonsense," I snapped. "You knew enough to run off to Cuba with him. Knew enough to let him sleep in my bed, in my house, while I was rotting in a damn nursing home." Her eyes flicked away, voice soft like it meant something. "I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I felt trapped every time I visited. It was like watching someone drown and not knowing how to help." "You weren't watching," I said, stepping closer. "You were busy planning your new life while I was fighting to breathe. So don't pull the sympathy act now." She swallowed hard, then said, "I'm selling the house, leaving the state. If there's anything you want from it, let me know." I stared at her, silent for a beat. Then I smirked. "You think I give a damn about the house? Keep it. Burn it. I've got better things coming." Her face twisted like she'd tasted something sour. "I didn't come here to fight." "No, you came to feel better," I said coldly. "To dump your guilt at my feet and skip town like you didn't help bury me. But here's the truth. Your apology's too damn late, and I don't want a damn thing from you. Not pity, not closure, not forgiveness." I opened the truck door and climbed in, not sparing her a second look. Before I slammed the door shut, I added, "Tell Simon I said congrats. He's finally going to get the attention he's always begged for. Just not the kind he wanted." I started the engine. Through the glass, I saw her still standing there, mouth open, eyes wide. Finally understood. What she didn't know. Her debt had already been paid in full, not by me, by Simon's own people. Saturday morning, the cops showed up at the gate. Colleen let them in. It was the same detective who'd worked with me and my dad. He came with news. Linda was dead. They found out Simon had flipped on a cartel, one operating across 3 states. Linda was eliminated as retaliation, executed, just like that. Simon had been dealing with a Mexican syndicate and decided to play both sides. He ratted and they handled it the way cartels do. It's been 5 years since my accident. 3 years since Colleen and I got married. Peter, Colleen's dad, visited Simon in prison once, told him he'd come out. Said his right arm got broken after refusing to go along with his cellmate's rules. Eventually, he stopped fighting and just gave in. Every Christmas, I get a card from my brother Richard. Just a few words. "Wishing you and yours a good year." That's all it says, and somehow that's enough. Colleen and I have a daughter now, Carrie Ann. She's just learning to crawl, and she's completely stolen the hearts of her grandparents. A full-on redhead, just like her mama and grandma. I was awarded a lifetime annuity after a specialist declared me 20% disabled. Only Colleen and my mom know the truth about my condition. Everyone else just sees the smile and the steady walk. Last anniversary, Colleen and I handed my parents an envelope. Inside was the confirmation, mortgage paid. Their house and store, paid off completely. And here's something nobody else knew. We bought the land where that pill warehouse used to stand. Got it for next to nothing. Today, there's a sleek new apartment complex sitting on that spot, managed by a firm that runs it on my behalf. This past Sunday, we had everyone over for dinner, both sides of the family. We had some news to share. Carrie Ann's about to be a big sister. Yeah, Colleen and I, we're in it for the long haul, no doubt about it.